And thank you for joining us tonight on episode 37, season 4 of the Standoff with Brad and Richie here on New Zealand Sport Radio. We're here live on Wednesday on Facebook throughout the internationals. Not long to go now. I would normally say good evening, Richie, but he's unable to join us tonight due to work commitments. So Paul has put his hand up and has offered to help me out. He watched a lot of league in the weekend, so he's going to be right up to snuff with helping me out talking about the games. So how are you, Paul?
I'm good. Bringing in the bomb squad off the bench. That's what we want to see.
Exactly.
That's the right sport, isn't it? No, maybe not.
Exactly. It's fine. But yeah, while we're here live on Wednesday evenings, you can catch us at your convenience on iHeartRadio, Spotify, all those places. Just remember to search for New Zealand Sport Radio. As always, we're going to cover everything you need to know on the week that was rugby league, including our top stories of the week, a review of the week 2 internationals. We'll stop and answer some questions from you guys as well as questions we've got for each other. Don't worry, Paul. Richard has provided me his question, so you don't have to worry there. And he's also provided me the answer of my question. So I can help out there. And then we'll do a quick preview of the week 3 internationals. No Super League, so Jacko will be happy if he's in yet. I see Rue's here. He's saying, evening, lads. Happy merch day. We'll cover that in the news. But yes, remember to send us comments and questions throughout the show, and we'll do our best to answer them. And we may as well jump into the top stories, Paul. You ready?
Absolutely.
So first one, you will be able to help out a bit. It was announced during the week that the Warriors have extended Andrew Webster's coaching contract with the club. He was currently contracted until the end of 2025. It's now been pushed out to 2028. So you've seen enough of it from the background on our show. What's your thoughts on Andrew Webster getting extended for another 5 years, basically, if you disregard his current contract?
Look, he had 2 years left. There was no rush, really, as I can see, to re-sign him. I don't know why you wouldn't wait till the end, till you see what happens next season, and then look at extending him, because that's a long contract for a coach. How many head coaches actually reach the end of their contracts? How much are you going to be paying it out? I mean, maybe give him a bonus or give him an uptick for his next 2 years because of how well he did. Because I'm guessing he's on more money. I would go. I don't see the need for it unless he was getting angsty about it personally.
I think it's just more the fact that it's going to be a lot cheaper to sign him now than when the Warriors win the grand final next year, Paul. He's going to be wanting more coin. I think, with the way they are, he has always said he wanted to stay, so I don't think they were ever going to be at risk of losing him. But I think the Warriors have made that mistake in the past where they waited towards the end and were umming and ahhing, and then they lost Ivan Cleary.
I wouldn't leave it till the end of the contract, but I would give it.
Yeah,
he had a 3-year contract. Let him do 2 years and extend. Let's make sure this wasn't a one-season wonder, right? And he can actually back it up. That's the.
Don't say that,
my
Paul.
only concern.
No, he won't be. Don't put that hoodoo on him. Going on to bigger and better things.
Add some realism here to things. I mean, look what happened to the Bulldogs last year compared to this year.
Well, they picked the wrong Panthers assistant, Paul. That's just on them. But yeah, I'm happy with it. Get it out of the way now. I know Cameron George did an interview during the week where he said that they're trying to build the lower grades at the moment, and by doing this extension now and getting out of the way, it shows those younger players they're trying to entice into the camp that they have got someone that they're sticking with for long term, as opposed to saying, we want you here now, and then in 3 years' time there might be a new coach, and then it's all, you're the type of player that new coach might not want. I don't know. I'm putting words into his mouth a little bit there, as I like to do on this show. But I'm happy. I'm happy they've nailed him down at least. I don't
think it's an awful decision. I just don't think it was. I don't think it was needed per se. I wouldn't have worried if he hadn't been renewed. Is what I mean.
No, I think he's still going to be a lot cheaper signing him now than in a couple of years' time, though, if things keep going the way they go. But yeah, we'll see.
Well, if things keep going the way they go, who cares about money? It'll be rolling in.
And yeah, Ruse said he would love to see him become the longest serving coach. Yeah, I think if he leaves at the end of 2028, he is tied with Cleary as the longest. So if he gets an extension when we're looking at like 2027, 2028, he'll be a shoo-in to be the longest term. And he has said in interviews that he kind of never wants to leave. We'll see. He's kind of had nothing but love at the moment. We'll see if there's a few ups and downs and he gets the negative side of being the Warriors coach. We'll see, but he's quite level-headed, so I think he'll take the ups and downs as they come. So yeah, wish him nothing but the best. See, you're making me think negatively now, Paul. I don't like it. But next bit of news, it hasn't been officially announced yet, but there were reports that the NRL is close to announcing Papua New Guinea as the 18th NRL side and that they will enter the competition in 2025. Still waiting on a proper announcement of, where they're going to be, if it's going to be set up in Cairns with games over in Papua New Guinea. Yeah, I'm not sure. It's very mixed. I've seen online, Paul. Some people really happy about it. Others not so much, saying they would have preferred to see Perth or someone get it, or even a New Zealand team. I'm not of the New Zealand team opinion myself. But it's more for me, I think, the enticing players to play for Papua New Guinea. I know the idea is to build the Papua New Guinea players themselves. But does that mean you're going to have a whole lot of Papua New Guinea guys that potentially get flogged every week in the first couple of years, and then, it's tanked before it can go? I'm not sure.
Oh, look, it's a balancing act, right? You need to bring some players in to support them. I mean, you've got to look at the Papua New Guinea team that's playing at the moment. I mean, how many of those are already at NRL clubs? If say half of them are, then look, see if you can get a couple of those guys back as experience. If not, realize actually, if half the team are young Papua New Guinea guys coming through initially, and then after sort of 4 or 5 years it becomes a fully team, then great. Don't try and rush it. Give them experienced heads, so that, as you say, you don't end up with a bunch of guys who just get smashed up every week. And don't get upset if the team is only 50% Papua New Guinea initially, as long as they have that statement that, look, over the long term, we will grow it. I think that's what it would be.
Yeah, and Roos said a lot of Hunters players will be promoted, you'd imagine. Yeah, so the Hunter Mariners, the Papua New Guinea side that have been playing in Australian competitions, so I expect that as well. It's just a wait and see.
How well are the Hunter Mariners going? I mean, are they smashing the? Is it the New South Wales Cup or whatever they're in?
I think it's Queensland Cup. You're testing me here. I'm not sure. I don't even sure if
they're great. If they're not smashing it, then look, they're not going to. You don't expect the full team to step up. You're going to need to bring in experienced heads around them, and I guess that's part of. The team was struggling. Absolutely struggling. I mean, look at and you look at other expansion teams within NRL. I'm pretty sure they've struggled. I know in rugby union they do. I mean, the Force took ages to win a game overseas, as did the Rebels. So look, these teams take a while to do it. They won the Queensland Cup back in 2017. Yeah, that's 6 years ago now. Now you need a better team than that, because and that means what would be a good step if they are going to do this is, right, let's build up the backroom staff we're going to need for the NRL team in the Hunters team, so the players there have proper physio, proper strength and conditioning, proper nutrition. So when they step up, it isn't a big change for them. Sure, will they have an advantage over other teams in the Queensland Cup? Yes, they will. But look, this is about trying to grow the game here. Look, we've seen how Fiji have taken off if we can get Papua New Guinea up and running really well, and Samoa, then you've got the makings of some proper international rugby. On top of that, okay, cool. They're not big markets, not big money, but it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, definitely. We'll just have to wait and see. I'm a bit concerned about the time frame. Saying like in 2023, it's a bit like the Dolphins, where they didn't really give them a lot of time to get everything ready.
Yep.
I see Mike said Fonzie had a great review on the PNG team entering the NRL. I've got it saved. I just haven't had time to listen to it yet. So I'll probably be able to add some more insight when I steal his ideas for next week.
But you're right. They need at least 2 years to get that backroom staff and everything up set up properly.
Yeah.
And to also start contracting players.
Yeah, so the sooner they make an official announcement, the better, so they at least know where they stand. But yeah, we'll probably talk about that a bit more once it's announced officially. Next bit of reports, still not officially confirmed, but it sounds like it's almost a done deal. It sounds like the Bulldogs have signed Josh Curran. So you'll recall we talked about it last week, Paul, where I said that Josh Curran told Mad Butcher that he was not leaving, and that there's one person you don't lie to in New Zealand when it comes to rugby league, and it's the Butch. So if this is true, Curran's done that and he's dead to me. But what's your take on him jumping ship to the Bulldogs?
Oh, look, I mean, I think he'll get more game time at the Bulldogs. Let's be honest.
Potentially.
The question is, is he after game time, or is he after kind of trophies? Because he's more likely to get trophies at the Warriors at the moment, you'd think. So it's an interesting choice. Maybe it's down to opportunities that he's moving, because I think he's not first choice with the Warriors, is he? So that might be the reason for the move.
Yeah. Richard's question, spoilers for later on, is about Curran and where he would play at the Bulldogs. So I'll go into that later. But yeah, as I said last week, I don't want to see him leave the Warriors, but I understand if he does. And it looks like that is the case. Cameron George, again, in that same interview where he talked about Webster, he talked about the Curran, where it was basically Curran was told at the end of the contract that he had, the club wasn't going to offer him a new one at present time. So if he did find a place to go to early, he was welcome to. So I feel it's more with the Andrew Webster coming in. And yeah, Mike said it, Curran really didn't have a say in leaving the Warriors. No, he was told he could go early, but he was going eventually. And that comes in.
Fine. Then look, jump when you've got an option, when you've got an offer, because the last thing you want to do is end up being and end up having a career-ending injury and
not being able to get a deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's all, when a coach comes in, they have an idea of the players they want. And I feel like Curran wasn't really on that when he went from being one of their best players to, or immediately being moved out of the starting lineup onto the bench and being used 10 to 20 minutes a game, maybe. Because I feel like he wasn't fitting in the mold of Webster. I'm completely speculating here, but when you have a regular starter for a couple of years before the new coach comes in and he gets relegated to another position, you kind of know maybe the coach has got different ideas. So I think the writing was on the wall for him there, where maybe Webster decided he had better players that could do the role for him. I know Bjorn's here and he said it sucks that he's moving, will be weaker without him. I personally have a bit of that feeling too, but the Cameron has come out and said that they're going to back the youngsters they've got in the next grade down, which I get too. It's a lot cheaper to bring one of those guys up than re-sign Josh Curran, who will want a little bit more money than what he's currently on.
Yeah, I gotta say that would be the other thing is if you're taking a starter who isn't starting, you're freeing up cap space as well.
Yeah, and that's the beast in the NRL is managing that salary cap. We're not all roosters who don't have one. We've got a budget accordingly. So congrats once it's announced officially to Curran. Hopefully he does well there. But we'll move on. Another one I can actually ask you about. The Kangaroos are playing the Kiwis this weekend, Paul.
Yes.
they have decided to rest Liam Martin and Payne Haas this week, with the Pacific Cup final already set between them and the Kiwis a week later. And there's noise that Cam Munster has a niggle and may sit out this week as well. What's your take on Australia deciding to rest some key players in their first game against New Zealand since the World Cup?
Look, I think it's been a long season, right? This is at the end of the season. You've got a lot of players who are knackered, so I don't think it's actually necessarily a bad move. You're going to give more. This isn't a Rugby World Cup, right? So it means you're going to give other players the opportunity to experience international footy, and so you can develop your depth heading into the next Rugby World Cup. And you're giving some players a rest who have had long seasons already. So I haven't got a problem with it per se. Look, I doubt it's going to change the number of people who turn up or the viewership. Sure, the fans might feel a little bit shortchanged, but to me, at this level, the players they're replacing them with are going to be quality players anyway that you want to watch. So I'm happy for them to do that. I think it's probably a good move.
Yeah, we'll go over the team list a little bit later, but you wouldn't even really notice that those players aren't there with how stacked that team is, to be fair. I get it. I understand why the Kiwis haven't, because the Kiwis haven't played as much games together. Kangaroos have the Origin advantage where they play Origin together, where the Kiwis don't. So the Kiwis need as many games as they can. And they traditionally... they get better as these tournaments go on. So by keeping them together, I think it's the right move. And yeah, Kangaroos can do whatever they want as long as they lose in the weekend. That's all I care about.
But it is a bit of an ask to go 3 big games in advance. So Australia have already had a week off, whereas New Zealand have got 3 games back to back on 3 weekends. That's a tough ask on some of these players at the end of a long season. So let's hope it doesn't come back to bite them.
Yeah, and they set it up perfectly too, Paul. The Kiwis had that first week off, then they played in New Zealand, then they play in Australia, then they come back to New Zealand for the final. So yeah, they did it well. Bjorn said, I agree with Paul. Stronger teams have the ability to do it, similar to ABs. Yeah, Kangaroos, to be honest, they could do 2 or 3 teams with the amount of players they have and still be competitive. So it's right to do. Well, and
I've got my question for you now for the break.
You do?
I do.
Simon's just arrived late, but he said he found it ridiculous that Tonga England game was not on Sky Sports or any New Zealand broadcaster. So the Tonga and England had their first game in the weekend, Paul. There's not really a lot of notes on it due to the fact that they didn't broadcast it in this country. NRL.com have the whole game on their website, but because I'm a New Zealander, when I click on it, it says I can't watch it because the NRL has that deal with Sky. So they can't show those games on their website to me because of Sky, even though Sky doesn't have the game. So the only way I got to watch it was highlights. From the NRL website. So I'm going to potentially, I haven't had any news from Sky on if they're going to play games 2 or 3. So I might have to find another way of watching it live so I can actually give a bit more of an opinion on the game. But what's your take on that, Paul? I did look, it was like 3 o'clock Monday morning.
Don't do piracy. Thank you. YouTube, don't cancel our video. Don't cancel us.
I had a look. I had a look on Sky at 3 a.m. on Monday when it was on, and there was
my God, you got to be
one live game. There was one live game of rugby union, and then there was a whole lot of replays of sport that had already happened.
Look, it's a farce that we have 2 of the top 4 teams in the world playing each other. And we can't watch it here. Yay, grow the game. Well done, international rugby. Sorry, but that's bollocks.
You could watch it in Australia. You were able to watch it there. It's just here. Which was disappointing because we talked about when they announced the Tonga tour to England. It was months ago. It wasn't like this is just a last.
Oh no, yeah, we've done
last
that
thing.
Yep.
So I don't understand. I've seen nothing in the media from Sky explaining like if if they deemed it was too expensive to get the rights for it, or I don't know. I'm pretty sure it wouldn't be. And Simon's kind of said that.
Great opportunity for someone like TVNZ or someone to step in.
Yeah. And Simon said, to be frank, their Sky's penny pinching currently with its competition disappearing. Yeah. Unfortunately, the what was the name of them, Paul? Spark.
So
was it Spark?
Yeah, I mean, Spark Sport stepped in, Sky upped its game, and threw its money around. Spark was only doing it for broadband rollout anyway. They weren't really doing it because they wanted to be in sport, from what I hear. And it worked fine for them. They got lots of people to move over to fibre for the Rugby World Cup back like 4 years ago. And basically since then they've just slowly got rid of it. They
got the Rugby League World Cup last year as well. And then it stopped. Made me pay to get it. It was annoying. But hopefully Sky step up and give us the last 2 games. But
we're a small country. We don't have enough money, enough of a market to justify 2 proper full on pay-per-view things, and it's a shame, really. It means we end up with Sky being
dicks, Paul, basically.
And also, anyone who I use Sky Sports now. I don't have the Sky box, and you want to go watch a replay of something, you got to go find when was it in the schedule, which channel was it on. It's fast. Why isn't it like YouTube where I just go, I want to see this, bang, find it. It's streaming. Move on. It's not a channel. I'm not watching channels. I want to watch. I want to stream stuff. Move with the times. God, they're slow.
Well, I know, like in Australia, they've got KO, which I know a lot of the people that I know in Oz use for watching the NRL and that, and a lot of them seem to like how that works, like the apps and stuff. But yeah, as I said, we're with Sky, with their monopoly, they can kind of do whatever they want.
I'd say we're not a big enough country for that monopoly to get broken.
Yeah,
I was hopeful that Spark were going to do it. They've got the what's the word I'm looking for? They've got the balance sheet behind them with Spark, with the kind of the balance sheet of the tech company, a bit like over in not tech, the telecoms company, a bit like BT over in the UK. They took on Sky over there. And other people who tried had failed, but they needed that balance sheet behind them. Spark had that balance sheet; they could have done it. There we go. Apparently, multiple broadcasting countries like the Republic of Ireland and Scandinavia. Okay, maybe I'm wrong, but I would have thought over there again, you can have companies that go cross-border, whereas here again, we're in the middle of nowhere, but it's ocean in every direction for 3 hours. Whereas, so it's not. It's a very different market to the European market.
Yeah. So we'll move on. Gareth Widdett had announced his retirement from rugby league this week. Storied career. Kind of ruined it playing for the Dragons, but well done on a career. I'm not sure. He hasn't really announced what he's doing next, but good luck to him. And Nathan Merritt. We talked the last few weeks, Paul. Nathan Merritt had been rushed to hospital and was very worse for wear, but he's now able to get out of bed and speak. So it's great to see him continue to improve. So hopefully we have a better, or keep going with good news updates moving forward.
It's that Dominic Young over in the UK has gone the other way and had an eye infection which has gone to his brain. So let's wish him the best in his recovery as well.
Hey, you're stealing it from my injury section, Paul.
Oh, sorry. Should I call an eye infection an injury?
It affected his brain. He's actually on the mend too with that. So we'll talk about it now. Yeah. He had a sinus infection. The infection spread to his brain. He's actually talking and everything now. They did surgery and drained it, apparently. Being a league player, there's a bit of room in there up there to drain it a bit better. So, good to see him improving too. But he is out of the England Tonga tour for the obvious reasons of his brain infection. So that was my only injury, or one of my only injuries there. But before we go into the rest of the signings and stuff, there was a bit of news that the Bulldogs and the Eels may be in talks of a player swap, with Josh Adokar potentially moving to the Eels if they send a forward over. There was news not that long before we went live that Ryan Madison was going to be the player, but it sounds like the Bulldogs want a front rower instead. So Josh Adokar was one of their big marquee signings, Paul. And after a year with Seraldo, it seems like they aren't that happy. They had a clear the air session last week where he came in and they kind of said what they needed to say and said everything was okay and he was safe, which is always the last thing you want to hear as a player. And it sounds like that's the case with them trying to get rid of him any way they can. So it's all 100% rumors right now. But I thought since everyone was talking about it, I thought we may as well mention it. What's your take on a marquee player being tried to be shoved off not long into his contract with them?
Look, that's got to be a bit of a red flag, hasn't it, for anyone else who picks him up? Because why are you trying to get rid of a name like that when, let's be honest, the Bulldogs need players of quality and they need leaders. So is he a leader that's actually causing disruption and getting players to not train properly, etc. It's a bit of a red flag. So you're going to be, I would, as an Eels crowd, look, good player to get, but I would be do they be maybe a little bit concerned as to what his attitude is to be there, really.
Yeah, we're just gonna have to wait and see. He's a talented player when his head's in the right space. So yeah,
and again, in some ways, if a talented player like him ends up at somewhere like the Bulldogs, you got to kind of think, why is he at the Bulldogs and not at the Eels, the Rabbitohs, the Panthers? Why aren't they interested? So yes. Obviously, I know nothing about the guy. I'm sure he's absolutely lovely and hardworking, yada, yada, yada. But just to say, it does suggest some red flags.
I wouldn't say he's lovely, but yeah, he's very talented.
I don't know. I don't know, to be honest.
Yeah. And then next bit of news, we're not going to do a review on it, but the first game of the triple header at Eden Park was the Kiwis A side playing the Tongan A side, and the Kiwi A's won 36-26. A bit clunky at times, I found, but I thought it was a good chance for experience for the young players on both sides. A lot of the young Warriors were in there playing for the Kiwis. And yeah, I thought it was a quality game, and I was very happy that it added to the Kiwis' success on the day, going 3-0. But yeah, obviously you watched it, Paul. What was your take on the Kiwi Ace?
I didn't watch it, but look, I think this is a fantastic move, particularly for Tonga-Rays. The fact that you're giving is, again, it's about creating those pathways, creating the long-term development of let's be honest, Tonga have become good because of a bunch of players that switch countries. At the end of the day, let's be honest about it. By having these sort of games, this will help keep Tonga being competitive and being successful into the future. And so the fact that they've actually stood up and got these kind of games going, I think is a very good move, particularly for Tonga. Also, an opportunity for a bunch of those guys to perhaps show their wares and get themselves NRL contracts somewhere. Well.
Yeah, most of them have got NRL contracts already, but some of them are in their the feeder clubs where they're not getting that look in, where they might get someone tap them on the shoulder going, look, you're stuck behind four people at your current club. How about you come over here? And yeah, it just gives them, it gives both sides really, gives the Kiwi young players a chance to get in there and play some quality footy outside of the NRL and kind of develop for both sides, Tonga and Kiwi, kind of develop that taste of I want to play for my country before they get a little bit older and they're like, it'd be cool to play for Tonga or New Zealand, but maybe I want to play Origin instead and go that way. So it's a good way to kind of get those players locked in.
And the Kiwis do have the Warriors as a kind of feeder, whereas Tonga don't have that base where players get to play together, get to talk, get to meet with each other and stuff. So I'd say good for both countries, but particularly good, I think, for Tonga.
Yeah. And then the last bit of news before signings and that the Warriors' new merchandise range from their new affiliate Dynasty Sports is released to the public on Friday. Members currently have access to some of the range. There was a whole lot, but I grabbed a picture that I sent to Paul on the new home jersey. And Paul, as the avid league fan, replied saying, "What's the difference?" Which is great. So there's a picture up. That's this year's one we just had with the big chevron V, which I explained to Paul. The chevron V, and then the new one.
You say the existing one, chevron, big circle for big circle target on the front for 1NZ that's come through. As you say, it all looks a bit clunky, a bit last minute. Like with the change of logo for TVN for 1NZ, doesn't kind of quite all just mesh or mash. The latest one, Dynasty, it's nice to see that the Dynasty piece has moved to the shoulders rather than that being in the middle there. It doesn't get in the way. But you can still see it's Dynasty. But the balance is much better, isn't it? As you said, it's much. It looks more like it's being designed with the logo in mind rather than we've got a jersey, we've thrown a logo on.
Yeah, I like it, and it's the old getting rid of the chevron and going back to the old. I don't even know what you call it, like the little arrows. But yeah, it's kind of a throwback to the old ways as well. Happy they stuck with the car. It looks cleaner to me. The one logo is still as massive as always, but I kind of got used to it this year. The more you had to see it every day, you kind of just got used to it. So yeah, I like it. And Rue said that it's the best range they've had in years. If you go, if you aren't a member to the Warriors and you can't see it now, you can actually go to Dynasty Sports website, and even though you can't purchase them yet, they've all got coming soon, but they show them there and they've got everything. So we're going to have a conversation after this, Paul, about a potential pay rise for me. I need to get some. And the sizing's better, which is good because I think we've mentioned on this show before, I had the largest size you could get with Puma in a jersey that I could barely fit because I'm a big boy. And then I've got an old jersey from years ago in my 20s that's a 3XL that I can still wear today. So it's technically half the size of the one that I bought last year, but I can still wear it just because of the sizing that Puma was doing. I don't know what they're up to. And and there's a red collar added too. Yeah, they got the old school red collar.
Yeah, that's yours. Give that one. Yeah, so look, it's say nicer jersey, nicely done. Christopher Bailey, have we talked about England yet? We talked about the England versus Tonga. So yes, we have done that already. If you're trying to refer to England versus South Africa, that's a different show, folks. That was Monday night. But yeah, look, and I think the other key thing is you said, look, it's the same colours. And one thing we've talked about before is that it's great to see a crowd where they're all in the same colour, and you only get that if you have a consistent jersey colour over many years. When everyone sort of has that colour. Hopefully, rather than just doing a black jacket with a badge on, they'll do a blue jacket with maybe some green highlights or red highlights. That way, again, cold, wet days, we've got the coat on. Again, you've got that solid colour of blue. So you know which stadium, you know who the fans are for. I think that would be kind of cool.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is there are a few different colours. I'm on there now, but yeah, it's majority sticking with that blue. And I think the away strip, they haven't shown it officially, but Cameron George again getting a lot of airtime tonight. But I saw he put pictures up on Instagram from they did a big like merch launch. Today that they invited media and people they like. We didn't get the message, Paul, but they had others there.
Lost in the post again.
Yeah, but most of it is blue. They got like a few training shirts which are different colors. The polos are the dark blue that they've been using. So still not that blue, but still a blue.
I quite like purple blue. I would have gone with that purple blue. I think that it looks, it's different. Look, it's not wildly different that people aren't going to go, I don't want to wear an orange t-shirt out, but it's different enough that it's unique. So I quite like it.
They could have just gone with a beautiful yellow and black checkered shirt again. It would be nice, but and Rue said it must have been lost with his invite as well, with the Bruin Hammer not getting an invite. It's just we do all the hard work, and we're not PC enough, I guess. I'm not sure, or popular enough. One of the two. But yeah, I'm happy to see it. I can try to describe the away strip as kind of a white with hoops. So it's white with like hoops going across instead of the V. But yeah, I'm sure we'll get pictures, like official pictures of them later out. I did a post on the home jersey that I put up on social media before we went live. So when we get the away strip, I'll do the same. And I'm sure we'll have a picture before next week's show, so I can bring it up again for our show here. But we'll move on, Paul. Signings, we kind of talked about a lot of the signings, but the Bulldogs also extended Jacob Carraz till the end of 2027. He's been pretty decent for them in what was a poor season, so not much surprise there. That was all I really had, other than the other news that we spattered in about rumored signings. So we'll go into injuries. I had 3. Paul stole one of them already with Dom Young. So
that's hardly an injury. That was sickness. I mean, come on, that's harsh.
He had a brain infection, Paul. That's an injury. But Kiwi Fern Amelia Pasakala, that's probably a butchered way of saying her name. She was taken off the field during the game at Eden Park with a broken leg after a hip drop tackle. No word on her recovery time yet, but hopefully she gets on the mend soon. And Bulldog Kau Olaapu could miss all of 2024 as he prepares for next surgery.
Well, sorry, go back to Pasakala. It looks like she needs an operation for a dislocated ankle off that one. So that says she's going to be out for the rest of the tournaments at least. Let's be blunt.
Yeah, and Kau Olaapu from the Bulldogs, he might miss all of next year as he prepares for next surgery. I saw some news today where his management team and him have been speaking with other players that have had a similar injury to see if surgery is actually necessary or if they can forego surgery, do a little bit of rehab, and actually get him to play next year. So we'll have to wait and see with how serious that is. But obviously, at his young age, he could probably skip a year without it being too detrimental to his career. Unless if he pushes through and it goes wrong, it could be a lot worse. But he's young and he could see this as his time where he can actually solidify himself as an NRL player rather than get forgotten. It's a hard situation to be put in.
It is, and look, these big injuries aren't something that the club doctors necessarily come across every day. So you think, should the NRL have a central doctor who can help players deal with these situations and give some proper advice or where to go and get proper advice sort of globally? Maybe that's a space that so the NRL could step up around the player welfare side of things for these kind of players. Yeah,
definitely. So and then the last bit, we got Naughty Boy Corner. No suspensions, but we had 2 fines, Paul. Fiji, Bassi, both from Fiji.
No suspensions, but yet there's been this. But we've got to dislocate someone's ankle and potentially take him out for a season. There's going to be a suspension, surely.
That's fine. No, it was perfectly fine. Hip drop. That one, she might have actually she did get sent off, but yeah, she might have got some further punishment. I just didn't see it when I was looking at the news earlier. But yeah, Makali Rabalava and Katoni Kautonga, have been charged a percentage of their match fee for careless high tackles. So I think it was between 5 and 30% for both players. So yeah, I don't know how much of their match fees are for Fiji, but no one likes to get hit in the pocket. So that was all the news. So we might as well get into the week 2.
Got through the news quickly this week.
Yeah, it's what we do. There's not as many games, so he'll be fine. We'll breeze through. But I know Richard did this on purpose because I'm going to have to say all the try scorers, and I can't say the names. We've got. Richard wasn't able to send me his thoughts on the games, so I've got mine here. You can just say yep or no, I guess, Paul. But the first game we had was the Kiwi Ferns defeating Matima Tonga 28-10, 6 tries to 2. Abigail Roach for the Kiwis got 3. Amelia Pasakala got 1 before she got injured. Anessa Biddle and Millie Hafanga got tries. And then Tiana Pinitani got both tries for Tonga. So my thoughts on it, it was a bit of a one-sided match, I felt. Kiwi Ferns were just too strong after playing together last week. Forward pack was very dominant up front, and their centre pairing of Roach and Hafanga was on fire. Still made too many errors, which will need to come down, though, if they want to beat the Jillaroos this week. And then for Tonga, they were just too clunky and couldn't compete up front. Had a few glimpses of how dangerous their attack could be, but their defence let them down and they couldn't stand the pressure. But they will be a good side if they can get more games together, which is going to be a common thing I'm going to say throughout all these reviews, Paul. And yeah, Jacko said Abigail Roach is a beast. Yeah, she was fantastic.
For Samoa, Fiji, Tonga, Papua New Guinea, and the Cook Islands, women all together get 1 game. Come on, there's lots of. I mean, there's plenty of teams to play each other, so just organise the bloody games.
Yeah, it would be good. We're still we're babies when it comes to internationals, Paul. We're still learning. But yeah, my player that stood out was Abigail Roach. As Jacko said, she was a beast, a hat trick, just constantly a dangerous threat out there. So yeah, very happy for her. Anything else you want to add about the game?
Well done to New Zealand. Actually organised 3 games. Australia only getting 2. So they've got the most games out of anybody. So well done for stepping up and getting all games organised. Shame that three teams weren't playing this weekend and 3 teams didn't play the weekend before that could have done. So we could have had at least another game. And there's only 1 game next weekend. Clearly, we could have had 2 more. So shame that there aren't more games. But hey, at least there are some games happening, which is a step in the right direction.
They're trying to help us out so we don't have to watch so many games in the off season, Paul. Some of us have loved ones that want us to spend time with them again. But next game, Kiwis defeating Samoa 50-0.
I'm just going to get a beer while you're reading out all the try scorers.
Yeah. So there were 9 tries for the Kiwis. Jermaine Osako got a double. Jerome Hughes got 1. Nelson Asofa Solomona got 1. Isaiah Papali'i got 1. Ronaldo Molotalo, Brighton Nakora. Molotalo went over for a double. And then James Fisher-Harris got a try in the final stages. Training run here for the Kiwis, who did need to come out firing as they prepared for the Kangaroos and having that week off. The prop rotation looked great with everyone hitting triple digits, which for me in my reviews I do for the Warriors, and that is my benchmark for a front rower to hit triple digit running meters. So all 4 of them got it. And it just allowed their backs to play footy, which they did with ease. Will be a tougher match coming up this week against Kangaroos, obviously, but holding Samoa to 0, I think will be a massive confidence booster. When you think Samoa, they were soundly defeated by the Kangaroos the week before, but they still put points on the board. And it wasn't that long ago they were in the World Cup final. So, they're not a team. They're not a bad team by any stretch of the imagination. So being able to put 50 on them and conceding nothing is massive. But yeah, for Samoa, I thought they put a lot of effort in, but they just couldn't compete against the Kiwis. Just like last week when I mentioned they lacked direction in the halves, it was that way again. They're really missing Jerome Luai and Stephen Crichton, the centre for the Panthers, now coming to the Bulldogs as a fullback, is not a half, which is where he was put. And they'll be disappointed they didn't look more competitive after their World Cup performances in these 2 games. But yeah, more international games for them and a better spine will see them improve. They're just like all the other island teams. They just need more games to play. Yeah.
Look, this isn't just the Kiwis beating a small minnow team here. Let's this is a very good performance by the Kiwis. Australia 38-12 last weekend, New Zealand 15-0. To nil them and to score and to put the half century up, this is a really good performance by the Kiwis. Shows they've hit the ground running, which is very good. You say this Samoa side should be better than that. It does show again the gulf between the top four and everyone else in rugby league, international rugby league. There is a gap there, but even so, the gap isn't this big. This is a very good performance.
Yeah, and Jacko said he loved James Fisher-Harris, the captain, a throwback to the old style, hard-headed, take no prisoners front rower who leads from the front. The only thing I didn't like about James was he is a front rower, and the post-match or pre-match interview he did, he wasn't able to string a few words together, which I know that it's hard. But he doesn't have that experience as a captain speaking to the media as everyone else has done. So he was kind of very like one answer questions or didn't really know what to say. But when he gets on the field, that's where he's comfortable. And that's why you saw him play as well as he did. And Simon said he does like the Pacific Championship, but it's interesting next year as it sounds like Australia is playing the Ashes Test Series in England, and that means Samoa, Kiwis, and Tonga. But yeah, that's going to be the thing. Australia will be out of it, and we'll have Tonga. I think Tonga will do more than enough to be competitive. Samoa, I think Samoa will be fine next year once they've got their regular half back, potentially. And Jagger said he ain't there to talk. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, he's not comfortable off the field talking to the media. He's paid to play on the field, and that's what he did best.
Look, at the end of the day, this Pacific Cup, it has to happen every year. We need a consistent competition that happens annually. We know it's going to happen. We can do a build-up for it. We know it's there. So let's just make sure it happens again.
Yeah, and Jagger said Samoa didn't play Volkman at 7, which was a mistake. Yeah, I would have brought Volkman, and I know he's not a regular NRL first grader, but he's at least a 7, which would have been ideal to have a guy that plays in position play out there. But yeah, these are things they're going to learn. And before we move on, my player that stood out, there were a lot of them for the Kiwis, but I went with Matt Tomoko. I thought he was dangerous. He didn't get on the scoreboard, which I kind of expected him to, but he was damaging with the ball in hand and played with a lot of emotion. Didn't make as many mistakes as he's sometimes prone to with the Raiders, and love him one day to leave the Raiders and come home to the Warriors, but it's not that day yet. But I thought he was great out there, and James Fisher-Harris as well. I think I had a feeling he would get picked by either me or Richie, so I will pick him on here too. Thought he was great. Next game, the last women's game of the weekend, the Papua New Guinea Orchids defeating the Cook Island Moanas 28-20. This is where we get into the fun with the names, Paul. So 6 tries for Papua New Guinea. Roswitha Kapo, Ese Banu, Liana Allen got a double. Leila Kiroa and Latona Norris all scored. And then for the Cook Islands, Chelsea Makira, Mahina Rangi Riwa, Kiani Takarangi, and Chantal Holloway Samuels all scored. I thought Papua New Guinea would take into the limit in the early stages of the first half, but a quick flurry towards the end of that half and the beginning of the second kind of sealed the win for them early. It saw them take the foot off the gas a little bit, which was almost a banana skin money moment as Cook Islands made a match of it, but they did, to their credit, hold their nerve and keep the win. Say what you will about the Papua New Guinea side of this tournament, but it's kind of built to make Papua New Guinea look good for both sides, men and women. They're kind of being fed games where I think they should run away with, which we've seen. which kind of goes with them trying to pump it up to make them the next NRL team as well. Get everyone happy about it. But yeah, it was good to see them play well. And Cook Islands, they just made too many errors, completing at 57%. A common theme so far in the internationals has been the errors, but they look good when they could keep hold of the ball. And we kind of saw that a bit better towards the end when they started mounting a comeback, but it was just too little too late. And just like the men's side, they too just need more game time together. And I had Latoya Norris as my player.
28-20, it's not a blowout. No. And it's a shame that both these teams just get one game.
Yeah. But yeah, it was thoroughly entertaining, which is something I'll give the Papua New Guinea games credit. They've been very entertaining, which moves us into the last game I actually got to watch. Fiji defeating the Cook Islands 22-18. So 4 tries to 3. Fiji, Micah Sivo, Jareem Buller, Waka Blake, and Sanua Taruva all scoring. And then for the Cook Islands, Hassan Masters, Iso Mioka, and Isaiah Cooper Titidvano all scoring. Fiji, they looked a bit shell-shocked early on in what was a very brutal encounter. It was full of big hits. But to their credit, they just kept plugging away, never lost faith in themselves, and fought to the bitter end. Should be a cracker of a game against Papua New Guinea this week. But yeah, thought it was a lot tighter than I thought. I think I said last week, Paul, that Cook Islands didn't play well against Papua New Guinea, but after having a game together, they might be able to get an upset over Cook Islands, and it bloody looked like it was going to happen. They had the lead with it was 6 minutes to go, and then Fiji went over and got the win. But yeah, Cook Islands at least look better than they did last week. But yeah, they just, in the final stages, they just couldn't hold them out. Heartbreaking loss for them. But with the roster they had, I thought they did very well. They talked about Fiji, how many first grade NRL players they had in their squad, and the Cook Islands had none. They had former NRL players, but no current ones. So the fact they're kind of doing it at that disadvantage already shows that, losing by a couple of points is actually quite commendable. And they just need more games together. Some of their big Cook Island representatives are currently playing for Australia and New Zealand, which doesn't help. But yeah, I think a few more players, get contracts with the NRL, get some experience and play for them. I think they could do well in time. It's just, as we've been saying all night, Paul, they actually need to get games. One game in between every World Cup isn't really great.
No, look at having, again, Pacific Bowl has to happen again next year. Great that it's happened. Let's make it a regular thing.
Yeah, and my play to stand out was Tui Kamika, because I haven't picked a front rower all night.
So we're going to breeze over Malta versus Chile. It's happening in Australia, where Malta beat Chile 30-22. Malta, a tiny island in the Mediterranean. So, and also North Macedonia losing to Poland 8-40, also in Australia. But hey, we'll skip those. Oh no, Brad's frozen on me. This is a disaster.
Ooh, am I back, Paul?
You're back now, yes.
I don't know what happened there. Someone must have turned on their microwave or something in the apartment next door. Apologies. England defeated Tonga 22-18, 4 tries to 3. England, Toby King, Mikey Lewis, Tom Johnston got a double. And then for Tonga, Stafford Toa, Tyson Frizzell, and Tolatai Kula got 3. Not televised in New Zealand, as we've already talked about. Saw brief highlights. Tonga made the same amount of errors as England, but at the worst times, and England were just able to turn those Tongan mistakes into opportunities. Should be a good series, though, and hopefully Sky plays the final 2 games. That's all I really have.
Yep, agreed.
Not much to say. So we'll go into questions. What questions do we have from the crowd?
Got a few things. Robbie goes, do you think he looks weird without the hat? I think it's referring to me. Yes, I do. Where's my bucket hat? I've lost it. I mean, I'm not sure I can cope. We'll try and figure something out. Jacko, do we know who is backing them and paying the bills? Referring to the Papua New Guinea NRL team. Now, Simon's clipped in with the Australian government are putting some money forward. And the question is, how sustainable is that? And it's his point he's worried about. What have you heard?
Yeah, that's kind of what I've heard, that the government is going to invest money into it. For how long and how much, I don't know. I don't see it being something that's going on forever. I know there is a political side of it that, being a New Zealander, I don't really understand, something to do with Papua New Guinea and China and all that stuff, which is part of the reason for this decision to invest money into Papua New Guinea.
And also probably the decision to invest money in the Fiji and Drua, and why New Zealand's putting money towards Moana Pacifica. But anyway,
yeah. So I don't know all that side of stuff. So yeah, that's what I've heard so far, that it's the government, Australian government, investing.
Yeah, it's sports politics. Let's hope that doesn't kind of cause these things to collapse because of that. If they pull out, we want certainty and long-term things for these sort of things. Mark says, should they be made to choose the international team at A level? There's a couple of players that haven't committed either way. Well, I was going to say, committing even at full international level doesn't seem to be fully committing. So for league, so look, I think you'd be hard pushed to make it, to force players to do it at that level.
Yeah, well, for me personally, I think they should. But we talked about that last week, how I was all for them picking a team when they start their career and sticking with it. But that's not how it works. So, yeah, I don't know.
The money in Origin is too high compared to the rest of the game, and the international game is not mature enough to force that at the moment. And finally, from Bjorn, which current NRL rule would you scrap, and what new rule would you create if you were PVL?
Oh, my new rule I'd create would be them to be able to do a bit more with working out the forward passes, because that still hurts. I don't know. I think opening the bunker to have a bit more of an assistance in things like that within limits, where they're not controlling everything. Rule I would take away. I'm trying to think. I don't know. As the thug on the show, I don't really listen to the rules, so I don't really know what ones I would take away, because I wouldn't use them anyway.
So as the anti-thug on the rules, I would lower tackle heights, and that way you'd increase offloads and get more kind of more long-range tries. So I'd up the skill level side of the game for viewership rather than the biff level side of the game. So I would lower tackle heights.
This is what happens when we bring a rugby union guy onto the show.
No, it's something that the NRL has done. So not the NRL, the NFL has done. If you look at NFL back in like 10 or 15 years ago, there was a lot of smashing. It was a game that was pushed on big hits, and now it's a game that's pushed and publicized on technique and athletic feats. I mean, a player now, if you push a player after the whistle, you get done for roughing a player, which just seems like a joke.
It's ridiculous
in that game. Yeah. But it just shows you that players can, if they want to, can control themselves. This idea of it's all emotion is just bollocks. So yeah.
Right, so we'll change it. We'll change. Yeah, the 7 tackle restart's very unfair. My rule I'd take away: bring back the shoulder charge. There you go. I've done it. I've fixed it. Since you're going all namby-pamby with it. And yeah, so I said we don't watch rugby league for offer. We watch rugby league for big hits. Yeah, I think in saying that though, defending your stance a little bit, you can still see massive hits in lower. You look at Joseph Tapani's big hit on Reece Walsh, where he hit him around the waist. Helps that Reece Walsh is like 40 kilos, but yeah.
Yeah, I've just take concussion out of the game. Get get it lower, allow players to free the arms, and let's have some. Let that and try and change the emphasis onto skill rather than biff.
And I'll change it. My rule that I'd bring in, sorry, I'm doing it again. Make it like ice hockey. If there's a bit of biff, instead of going in and breaking it up, you wait until the biff is finished, and then you send them both off for like 2 minutes.
Well, you see, in ice hockey, what they've done is they've all agreed that you just leave the two at it, you don't join in.
Yeah.
In rugby and in league, everyone else joins in. So if you get everyone else to agree, you don't join in, that works. But if
just one-on-one.
It just gets crazy. Yep.
Yeah, one-on-one, and if someone joins in, that person gets sent to the bin for joining in.
Yeah, but look, if someone goes after your halfback, you're all going to join in, aren't you?
No, it's the way it is. So that's what I would do. None of it would ever happen, and I'm never in charge of the NRL. So we'll turn it into UFC. You'll be fine.
One last thing I guess we should talk about is the crowds.
Jacko called me a dinosaur.
Of course you are. Yes, you absolutely.
Come on. Don't ask that, because that is a question in my things already, Paul.
Oh, okay. Next.
Yeah. So was there any others?
No, that's it.
All right. So we'll go with that one since you're about to mention it. So my question to Richie was, it was a loud crowd at Eden Park, but not the biggest crowd, with only 23,269 fans showing up. Do you think it was a wise move to play it at Eden Park instead of Mount Smart on a public holiday weekend? And then his reply, or his answer he gave me, I'll come to you after it too, Paul, but he said, I 100% think the test should have been played at Mount Smart. The crowd number at Eden Park would have filled Mount Smart. I feel like it would have made a better atmosphere with even better being closer proximity to the field. So your take, Paul. I know you're used as a Union fan to seeing a half-empty Eden Park, but
look, I'm okay. Yeah, as a Union fan, but Eden Park is not a good ground. Okay,
no,
fine. It's as far as the All Blacks go, it's got a great record and blah 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 blah. And I'm not anti-league going to rugby union ground. I mean, them playing at FMG Stadium in Hamilton, I don't think either of us have got a problem with that for the final game. Do you?
No. I've only been there once, and that was for the Warriors game against the Tigers, and I actually really enjoyed it. It was nice and close and everything.
Yeah, so it's not a matter of being league versus union. It's a matter that Eden Park is a shit ground because it tries to be a cricket ground and it tries to be a rugby ground or a rectangular ground and an oval ground. It doesn't work, right?
It doesn't do any of them great.
Same with Wellington as well. So even though I've not been to Wellington and I've not been to the Cape Tin, it just looks shit. So no, I would have taken, especially when you got a crowd, as you say, 23,000, you got 25,000 capacity at Mount Smart. It's perfect. That's the kind of crowd you're going to get at the moment. It's not you're not up to 40,000. No. And if you guaranteed 40,000 or 35,000, then sure, take it there. But otherwise, leave it at Mount Smart.
And I think a side note on it was the pricing wasn't that great either. I didn't look because I had already decided I wasn't going, because I don't like Eden Park. Unless Eden Park wanted to pay me to go, I wouldn't be going. It was like, I'll just watch it at home. And I don't regret that. I enjoyed the game, but I enjoyed not having the hassle of going to Eden Park. If it was at Mount Smart, I would have been there with bells on. But yeah, I heard some people say the pricing was a bit out of whack for what you would expect. But yeah, I'm not a fan of Eden Park, as we've known for years on this show. But
yeah, look, the location isn't bad. I getting there isn't that difficult. You got trains and etc. So location wise, it's not bad. Just the design of the stadium is bloody awful.
Yeah, but as Simon said, he likes FG Stadium. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed my time there for the Warriors game. I had seats behind the goalpost. I was nice and close. It was easy to get in and out, and close to the action. But yeah, and I really think long weekend didn't help them either. A lot of Aucklanders don't like being in Auckland for Labor Day weekend, so you're going to lose some.
You're going to lose some, but I think it's still 20. The
23,000 is still good.
Was good. It was decent for Mount Smart. I know there were a lot of Aucklanders heading home because it took me an hour to get, or took me an extra half hour to get through the gorge. between Waihi and Pyro, because we're just extra traffic, and there's a roundabout in Pyro, and so it backed up. So yeah, no, there was a lot of people out of, but yeah, I wouldn't care too much about Labor Days and stuff. Just choose the right stadium.
Yeah, and then my question, or Richard's question to me, was: if rumors are true, where do you see Curran fitting into the Bulldogs' picture, starting or bench? Does he replace Preston or Cacao on the edge, or possibly a lock option? So, yeah, it's still a rumor. It sounds like it's almost confirmed. There's probably been a confirmation while we've been on air. But I don't see him getting above Jacob Preston or Cacao. That was why I was interested in the fact that they talked about the Bulldogs, because a lot of the things we were hearing behind the scenes was that he wanted to be a starter, and that's kind of why he was a bit uncomfortable being with the Warriors still. And I don't see him being a starter at the Bulldogs either. But potentially, if they decide to move him into lock, that's where I would put him as lock or on the bench. Now, I know Jacko said if Curran leaves, who cares where he plays? We talk about all of the league, not just the Warriors here, Jacko.
Yes, we focus on the Warriors. We don't exclusively talk about the Warriors. Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, so if it was me, I'd put him at lock or on the bench. Preston and Cacao don't lose their spots on the edges for the Bulldogs. I'm sure you don't have an input on that though, Paul. So we can move. So we'll move into week 3 of the internationals. I did our pretty little picture for the Kiwis Kangaroos. I'm comfortable. I can do both teams, Paul. It's fine.
Good.
So for the Kiwis, we've got it's I think exactly the same team as last week, except for 2 players switching, one from the bench moving into starting lineup. So fullback, we've got Chance Nickel-Plukster. Wings, we've got Jermaine Osako and Ronaldo Mulatalo. Centers, we've got Matt Tomoko and Joseph Manu. Then halves, we've got Dylan Brown, Jerome Hughes. Front row is James Fisher-Harris, Kieran Foran, and Moses Leota. Second row is Isaiah Papali'i and Bryden Nakora. And then Joseph Tapani at lock. Bench, we've got Fire Umu Brown, Nelson Asofa Solomona, Griffin Neem, and Leo Thompson. So same 17 as last week. Only switch is Foran starting and Brown going to the bench, which was what changed before kickoff last week as well. Kangaroos, we've got Captain James Tedesco at fullback, Dylan Edwards and Valentine Holmes on the wings, Hamiso Tabo Fido and Katoni Staggs in centres, Cameron Munster and Dale Cherry Evans in the halves. Question mark still, as we mentioned earlier, on Munster. Jake Travojevic, Ben Hunt, Thomas Flegler in the front row, Cam Murray, Ruben Cotter, and Isaiah Yeo are the edges and lock. Interchange, we've got Harry Grant, Lindsay Collins, Pat Carrigan, and Nico Hines. So potentially, if Munster's out, I see Nico Hines moving into the halves, potentially with, I don't know, maybe Cobbo coming onto the interchange if they want like a back. I don't know. But as I said to you earlier, even with all those players they rested, that's still a hell of a Kangaroos team.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I guess the only thing I would say about the Kiwis is you've got players like White, Levy, Greg, Kinney, who have been in camp for 4 or 5 weeks and don't get a game, which would be a bit harsh. So I maybe have put some of those on the interchange, maybe done a little bit of rotation. I'm not saying do mass rotation, but yeah, to be there for 3 or 4 weeks and then actually not play seems a bit.
It's all about learning. It's learning for those guys.
Sure, to a degree, I agree.
But we've got to beat the Kangaroos. We're not a charity, Paul. But yeah, when they get their time though, Danny Levi's played a lot for Kiwi, so he's already got that experience. But White and Greg and Kinney are all very young, so yeah, I think it's just more bringing them into camp, getting them into the mix, knowing that they're the next cab off the rank when you've got guys like James Fisher-Harris and Nelson when they eventually hang their boots up. And yeah, Jacko said Kiwis got a very strong lineup, no need to fear the Aussies at all. Yeah, I'm very confident in that team. I don't know if I'd put all my money on them winning, but I'm definitely confident they'll give them a run for their money.
Oh, look, cracking game this weekend.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's fantastic that all the kind of the big union games are out the way because they're in the morning. So should get a really good viewership on the old TV because it's obviously over in Australia. A bit late would be nice to be a little bit earlier, but hey, we can't ask for everything, can we?
No, we're never going to expect that. We get it earlier the week after for the final, at least, though.
Yes,
the final was here, so you got to take your wins when you can. The other games, also on Saturday, we've got the Jillaroos versus Kiwi Ferns. Then we've got England Tonga. It's meant to be Saturday as well, but I'm not 100% because I'm not sure when I'm looking if it's Saturday England or Saturday here or Saturday Australia. It really confuses me when it comes to that stuff, but I know it's early in the morning.
I think it's 1 a.m. Sunday morning.
Sunday morning, there we go. And then also on Sunday, we've got PNG versus Fiji. So only 4 games next week in the final week. And yeah, so obviously games going to clash with the Australia and New Zealand Cricket World Cup. Is there a World Cup for cricket on at the moment?
Apparently, who cares?
Sorry, so I don't watch it.
It's one-day cricket. BCCI are trying to kill it. No one's really watching.
Okay, but yeah. So yeah, Simon said 2:30 New Zealand Sunday, and yeah, Jacko said James Fisher Harris, Iota, Tapani, Big Nelson, and Neem, all great middlemen. Yeah, it's really good. I think their pack's going to do some damage to the Kangaroos, so that's why they're resting Payne Haas this week. And Jacko said don't start talking cricket. No, that's all we have though, unless you've got anything else to add, Paul. There's no Super League, so I don't have a Super League segment to help Jacko out.
Yeah, I'm just amazed we've taken an hour and 10 minutes with one of us not knowing what we're talking about. So, yeah, we've done well.
It's what we do.
Hopefully everyone's enjoyed it. And Richie will be back next week, hopefully. You won't have my inane ramblings. I will just be looking after the live chat.
Yeah, and hopefully we've got a Sky game. Christopher said England Tonga. We just talked about England Tonga.
Yeah, he's not catching up.
Yeah, so yeah, I still haven't seen if that's been played this week, but hopefully I can watch it live. I'm sure I'll find a way. Simon said there's some Super League news. The grading system's been released tomorrow for all teams to be ranked, so we can talk about it next week when we see a bit more. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in and joining me with the standoff with Brad and Paul. For your weekly update on rugby league, tune into your show next week at 8 p.m. on Facebook or at your convenience on iHeartRadio, Spotify, all those places. Just remember to search for New Zealand Sport Radio. Thank you again for helping me out, Paul, and good night, everyone.
Oh, I'm missing you already.